Honorable President of India, Chairperson of Asia Pacific Forum, Mr. Du Hon Song, Chairperson Morocco Human Rights Council, and Secretary of Global Alliance of National Human Rights Institutions, Ms. Amina Boyash, my colleagues Dr. D.M. Mulle, Mr. Rajiv Jain, Secretary General of the Commission, Mr. Bharat Lal, Chairpersons of NHRIs of Asia Pacific region, former judges of the Supreme Court, Excellencies, Chairpersons of National Commission and State Human Commission, delegates, spiritual leader Dr. Chandrabhanu Satpathy, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, on behalf of all of us, let me place on record our heartfelt condolences to the families of those who lost their loved ones in a tragic earthquake in Morocco. We also express sympathies to those who have otherwise suffered. In this hour of grief, we stand together with the people of Morocco. I am deeply honored and privileged to welcome the Honorable President of India warmly. In spite of her busy schedule, she has agreed to inaugurate the conference. I also extend a warm welcome to all of you on the occasion of the conference. We are completing the 30th anniversary of Paris Principles. India has a history of the last 5,000 years of ethos, compassion, empathy, and human dignity. Human rights are moral, pre-legal rights, cannot be granted or taken away. Every law is required to be compliant with human rights. Inspired by our culture and ethos, our constitution makers incorporate these values in the Constitution of India. In the same spirit, India pioneered the establishment of National Human Rights Commission as a statutory body in 1993. The Commission motto is Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. Let everybody be happy. All of us are committed to upholding dignity and rights as every human in the vast Asia Pacific region with diverse cultures, languages, traditions and religions. We are entrusted with the noble task of upholding the human rights of those who cannot fight for their rights. We also recognize the challenges of disparities that persist and injustices that continue to afflict us in many ways. We all cherish the value of equality, freedom and justice. In that spirit, we protect human rights and provide expeditious and speedy machinery for the redressal of the grievances. We all are working for need-based distributive justice so that no one is deprived of rights due to socio-economic conditions and personal beliefs. The concentration of wealth in few hands globally is causing brooding sense of injustice. There is an acute need for the inclusion of marginalized and other disadvantaged segments of the society in the gains of globalization. Inequality in income and wealth is attributed mainly to high-tech aggregation platforms. Most of them are not producers of the good, but mere distributors. Their monopoly disrupts the global supply chain and has suddenly posed challenges to the producers, distributors, and small and medium retailers and business houses worldwide. They are often involved in unfair labor practices violating human rights. While involved in hazardous business activity, big businesses have to be accountable for human rights. After worst gas tragedy in Bhopal in 1984, The hazardous debris still awaits removal. Delay is causing contamination of groundwater and soil. Business houses must be responsible for processing waste and removing debris from their own premises. Stringent safety measures and liability are necessary to prevent the recurrence of such incidents. The right of freedom of profession, business and trade and occupation, including the right to property and intellectual property right, are to be respected. However, they are subject to limitations and restrictions in the public interest. The intervention of regulatory bodies, particularly in pricing life-saving drugs, medicines, vaccines, and medical devices, is necessary for protecting the right to health, which is part of right to life. Consumers are to be protected against unrealistic price extraction. Every packed product should reflect MRP. Price must correlate with the cost of production, which consumer must know. He has right to know it. The right to livelihood is a part of right to life. We must ensure that workers involved in various economic activities are provided human working conditions. For the tribals who live in remote and forest areas, their customary rights must be respected. Unfair trade practices too violate human rights. Overuse of fertilizers and impermissible pesticides damages soil, water and health, creates intergenerational issues. In every country, to improve the quality of life of their citizens, the governments are pursuing wealth creation in economic activities. However, we must ensure that we do not cause permanent damage to the environment, nature, water bodies, flora and fauna. Our moral duty is to ensure that future generations do not pay the price of our actions or omissions. We have already started paying the price due to environmental damage and climate change. Unfortunately, nature's fury always impacts the weakest. Today, erratic rainfall, prolonged drought, leading to forest fires, and high-intensity cyclones are playing havoc with the lives and livelihood. Water and air pollution must be addressed. Prevention of the deforestation and increasing forest cover are necessary for our survival. The Committee of Nations came together and decided to improve the quality of people's lives by agreeing to sustainable development goals which are to be achieved by 2030. It is pertinent that culture of recycle, reuse and reduce is practiced by all to ensure intergenerational equity. The proliferation of cyberspace has created challenges for human rights like hacking, dark web, fraud, human trafficking. Our children have become more vulnerable. The growing menace of CSAM, child sexual abuse material, is one example. Recently, NHRC India held a conference on the issue of CSAM. We have to evolve better mechanism to monitor and combat the misuse of cyberspace. Blocking CSAM and malicious content requires the big players in the internet to be sensitive and proactive in protecting the human rights of marginalized sections by identifying and taking down offensive content. International cooperation on these issues is the need of the hour. We must articulate joint strategies to protect cyber ethics and penalize unlawful internet behavior to defend human rights. Similar attention needs to be paid to the latest developments in artificial intelligence. Care should be taken so that human life with attendant rights as we know it does not get affected. We have to protect the human rights of victims of terrorism, drug abuse and war and their impact on lives and livelihood. World economy and peaceful coexistence. The time has come to remind ourselves of ahimsa preached by Lord Buddha and Bhagwan Mahavir. The right to health is a concomitant to the right to life. International cooperation saw the distribution of COVID-19 vaccines by India to 101 countries. The state must change their welfare-based approach to a right-based approach in the essential health services. The right to equality cannot be achieved without gender equality. For women and LGBTQI, equality is necessary. Gender equality must be ensured in education, employment, remuneration, and other civil rights such as inheritance and property rights. The gender-based violence is unacceptable in a civilized society. Similarly, right to equality has to be enforced vis-a-vis especially abled. We must provide them with full opportunities to enable them to make their future and shape their destiny. The concept of providing reasonable opportunity should be interpreted liberally. Recently, insurance have been urged by our Commission to provide coverage to them without discrimination. Effort has to be made to wipe off tears from every eye and bringing smiles to the faces. We must provide basic amenities in a time-bound manner to every human being. As Mahatma Gandhi said, a nation's greatness is measured how it treats its weakest member. The task is to see how best we can strengthen global effort by moving from commitment to action. We need a joint strategy for an emerging challenge to human rights protection in areas of climatic change, business of child trafficking, CSAM, other crimes in cyber space. While closing, I extend my thanks to all those who have contributed to the realization of the aims and objectives of this forum. Let us seize this opportunity to shape human destiny in our region and reaffirm our commitment to the values that bind us together. May this Asia-Pacific Forum of National Human Rights Institutions be a beacon of hope, lighting the path towards a brighter, fairer, and more just tomorrow.